Hello, I want to welcome you to the power of our stories, Wounds to Wisdom, Healing Through Veteran and First Responder Narratives, Author Storytelling Night. We are a community where veterans, first responders, and all protectors can connect, share their experiences, and heal together. So tonight, I want to introduce Jeremy Gronau. Jeremy Gronau's life is a powerful chronicle of sacrifice, survival, and spiritual awakening. From the adrenaline-charged atmosphere of an Apache Helicopter Attack Squadron navigating aerial combat in Afghanistan to his calling as a devoted Christian counselor, Jeremy harnesses his military experience and spiritual insights to confront the unseen battles of the heart, mind, and spirit. With a radiant empathy that heals the wounded soul, he inspires excellence through strategic coaching and direction. As a seasoned leader with over 15 years of rigorous management and operational expertise, his mission is to accompany people from the depths of pain to the pinnacle of peace, from the echoes of wounds to wisdom and revival. Grounded in the teachings of Jesus Christ and powered by a fortified faith in God, he draws on the warrior spirit philosophy, igniting hope in those seeking restoration. If you feel moved by Jeremy's story and mission or seek guidance on your path to healing and personal excellence, please connect with him at jeremy@warriorsinchrist.one, and his contact info will all be in the description. So, Jeremy, I want to warmly welcome you tonight to read your chapter. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the great introduction there. And thanks for everybody for joining tonight. Good to see some familiar faces, and thanks for welcoming me on this Wednesday night. I'm just going to jump right in. The title of my story is The Long Road Home, Finding Purpose in the Wreckage. In the tapestry of life, we are often marked by moments of overwhelming adversity, yet it is in the aftermath of such trials that our true strength emerges. Before I drew my first breath, the battle was already underway. My entrance into the world was shadowed by sacrifice, my mother's choice to delay cancer treatment to give me life, which ultimately cost her own. Growing up with the knowledge that my own birth was intertwined with my mother's death burdened my young heart with a profound sense of loss and a quest for understanding. This early confrontation with life's fragility planted seeds of doubt about God's goodness amidst suffering. Yet it was also setting the stage through the darkness towards an unforeseen light, a testament to the enduring power of faith, hope, and the strength of the human soul. An undercurrent of grief and unanswered questions marked my childhood. The loss of my mother before I could even know her left a void filled with whys and what ifs. This internal struggle was a constant companion as I navigated life that seemed to compound over time. The decision to join the Army emerged not just as a path to honor the legacy of sacrifice my mother left, but also as a quest for identity and purpose. My acceptance into flight school marked the beginning of a new chapter. There, amid the rigors of military training, I met my wife, Amanda. Our bond, forged in the demanding test of military life, became my anchor. Upon completing flight school, the call to serve in Afghanistan arrived, a call that I answered. I was thrust into the realities of heavy combat, where the stakes of life and death colored every moment. This environment, while deepening my sense of purpose, also magnified the stress and the weight of responsibilities resting on my shoulders. After my deployment serving as an Apache helicopter pilot with Charlie Troop 317 Cav in the 3rd Infantry Division, I yearned for a peaceful homecoming. Yet a cascade of personal chaos swiftly overshadowed my anticipated peace. My health was deteriorating, affecting my physical, mental, and spiritual health. I endured debilitating pain from arthritis in my knees, my shoulders, compounded by herniated discs in my neck and my back that compressed on my spinal cord. It was invisible wounds of PTSD manifesting as severe insomnia and deep depression. A profound crisis of faith intensified all of my distress. These challenges set the backdrop of turmoil where anger and hopelessness became my constant companions. My pursuit to healing led me down countless avenues from self help gurus to medical experts, yet peace was continued to elude me. In my quest for healing, a Bible study group became my refuge, guiding me to a path that I had never considered. On December 23rd, 2019, my life's trajectory veered off course in an instant, transforming a family ski trip into a dire emergency when our car hydroplaned and collided with a tree at a terrifying speed. The impact was catastrophic, plunging me into unconsciousness, leaving my wife and my two children in peril, and changing our lives forever. We were all trapped inside of a smoking vehicle, a living nightmare unfolding around us. Amanda was engulfed in a haze of pain and confusion, covered in broken glass. Coming to amidst the wreckage, her first heart-wrenching thought as she looked at me, crushed in the driver's seat, was that I had perished. Confronted with her own severe injuries, both her hands and her wrist shattered, leaving her powerless to move or aid our children screaming in the back, she was in intense despair. Quick thinking Good Samaritans, witnessing the aftermath, sprang into action, shattering the back window to free my children from the smoldering vehicle. With the arrival of the paramedics, they discovered me in the throes of a convulsive seizure. My legs were crushed beneath the dashboard and the crumbled metal of the vehicle. A litany of fractures and injuries were etched across my upper body. It took the first responders 30 minutes to extract me from the twisted embrace of the car using the jaws of life. This accident, horrific in every sense, became the crucible for an unforeseen transformation. Days later, following several surgeries, I found myself awaiting a transfer to Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta. There, the director of orthopedic trauma planned to undertake the delicate task of reconstructing my right leg. On New Year's Eve, in the solitude of my hospital room, I gazed out at the Appalachian Mountains. The realization dawned on me that my physical injuries and the heavy burden of guilt for endangering my family due to my reckless driving in the rain were formidable mountains I had yet to climb. Confronted with my overwhelming hopelessness and shame, I sought the Lord's guidance and strength, pleading for his assistance in navigating the daunting path ahead. In this moment of isolation, I turned to him in prayer. After my transfer to Grady, Dr. Shanker briefed me on the high risks of my upcoming surgery to repair my severely fractured tibia, describing it as one of the worst cases that she has ever encountered. The morning of my surgery, I wrestled with my nerves, thinking that it might be my final moments. I decided to take one last picture of myself on my phone before putting it away and being put under. As I was wheeled into the brightly lit operating room, filled with a team of medical professionals, the opening notes of a familiar song filled the space. As Spirit in the Sky began playing from a speaker on the wall, the timing of the song choice and the irony of its lyrics at that moment did not escape me. It was as if God had created this moment for my benefit alone. Right as I was thinking that, a nurse smiled at me and said, "Perfect song for an Apache pilot." In that vulnerable state, surrounded by medical equipment and the muted conversations of the surgical team, I turned inward, reaching out to God in a way I had never done before. I acknowledged the years I had spent distancing myself from his guidance, the silent rebellion of a heart that chose to wander. With the melody echoing softly in the background, I surrendered fully to the divine, relinquishing control of my life and the outcome of the surgery. My prayer was simple yet profound. If I woke up from this ordeal, it would be with a heart renewed in faith, with Jesus firmly at its center. It was a request for a second chance, not just at life, but at a life lived purposefully by His will. I experienced a profound sense of peace and calm as I prayed, and at that moment, I felt the presence of something divine. A comforting assurance whispering through the depths of my soul, everything is exactly as it should be. Waking up in the ICU after 8 hours of surgery, I faced the harsh reality of my state. Despite significant blood loss and the searing pain that gripped me, the sight of both of my feet at the end of my bed brought a profound sense of relief and gratitude. Reflecting on the pre-surgery events, I remembered the photo I had taken just before being wheeled into the operating room. Looking at the picture, I couldn't help but notice there was a big digital clock in the background over my right shoulder. The clock read 7:07. This instantly sparked a compelling thought, urging me to consult the book of Matthew. With this anticipation, I opened the Bible app on my phone. As I read chapter 7, verse 7, tears streamed down my face, overwhelmed by the profound message. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be open. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you, then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your own children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? Emerging from this trial, I was not the same person. My physical recovery, which took years and was marked by a series of grueling surgeries, it mirrored my spiritual rebirth. This harrowing experience not only deepened my faith, but it also granted me a fresh perspective on life, transforming my pain into a wellspring of strength and compassion. This transformation led me to pursue a career in Christian counseling and high performance coaching, aiming to support veterans, first responders, and trauma survivors through their most challenging times. Offering an approach to personal and professional development, my journey from despair to hope, from soldier to counselor, is a testament to God's providential design for each of our lives, the power of faith and the resilience of the human spirit. It is a message of hope for those wrestling with their own adversities, a reminder that even in our darkest hour, we are never alone. My path has led me to a calling where I can be a beacon of light to others, guiding them through their storms toward a horizon filled with light and new beginnings. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Zephaniah 3:17. Thank you.
Jeremy, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, your deep story of your spiritual awakening. Um, every time I think about you, I always think of somebody who took everything that it took to be an Apache pilot and put all that heart and all that right stuff into pursuing God and getting to know him and inspiring others with everything that you've learned. And so I just want to thank you for bringing your whole self, your whole heart, your whole story, and sharing it with others. So thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. And thank you for giving me a platform to speak from and a story to share, a book to share my story, and for creating this environment for all of us. So thank you, Sarah.
Well, it is so inspiring. Thank you. Let me ask you something, Jeremy. I'm curious. Now, reading this story, you're wrestling through your own recovery physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and now being a dad of little ones. And you've gone through so much since that's happened. The last 5 years we were just talking about. What is it like to share your story now in front of this group? What did it feel like for you?
Honestly, I have shared this story at least, I would say, 100 times. The first, I would say that at least the first 20 times, I'd break down in tears if I even tried to share anything about it. It was so difficult. My wife still can't talk about it. She still has difficulty talking about it. Uh, it was such a difficult experience. I went from being somebody who was in great shape, you know, had very high expectations for myself, high view of myself, almost prideful of myself, and being brought low. The lowest point of my life is something that is very difficult to see, to watch from your loved one's perspective. And but it was this amazing thing. My wife was always a Christian. She had been a Christian since she was very young, and so her and I had a completely different experience through it, in which her experience is like, God, why did I have to go through this? And I was having this complete revelation because she had been trying to get me to go to church, to seek after God for pretty much our whole marriage. And yet it took me being nearly killed, flat on my back before I would finally look up. So that is something that really was a challenge for us, is having two completely different viewpoints from the same event as a married couple. And so that took us a lot of time to work through that, along with the physical injuries of everything. She, like I said, she had broken both of her hands, and she was a hairstylist. She is a hairstylist. So I couldn't walk. I couldn't go to work. She couldn't work, trying to take care of two young kids at that time. So it was rough. It was rough. And then, like I said, that was 4 weeks before COVID. So throw another grenade in there. So, but
Hi.
like I said, it's in those challenges where you really find out what you're made of, and then you also find out who really loves you and who cares about you, who's going to support you, who's going to show up when you have nothing to offer. So I think it's the trial by fire for sure.
Yeah. That is always interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have left when those really hard times happen? How has your life changed since then? Like when you think of the silver lining, besides for your spiritual awakening, how has your life changed?
Honestly, when I think about the surgery, the amazing thing is, before the surgery, when I thought about the accident, I mean, before the surgery, with the encounter with God that I had, I was in complete despair, guilty, shameful, all of that. But after that moment, and what I think is so amazing about what God can do is he can transform the worst thing in your life into something that is, it actually gives me life now. Because when I'm going through a hard time and I think about, why is this happening to me, or why do I have to go through this? And those thoughts of doubt come in. I literally put myself back on the operating room table with that song coming on and remind myself, okay, I've been through this. So whatever I'm facing, I'm going to be able to overcome it. God's going to be with me. So I need to put things in perspective. And
Mm.
so I literally think from a standpoint of, what's different? I think I'm completely different. I think, I went into the operation to save my right leg, but honestly, I came out as a brand new person.
Mm. Mm. Wow, that's incredible. Um, well, I'd like to open it up for others to make a comment, question. There's so many things I am curious about, Jeremy. I think I've told you before. I can't imagine your job as a combat helicopter. It just seems like so vulnerable. But it is just an amazing thing to see how you transferred all of that into this wholehearted effort to help people heal. So, Scott, what's on your mind? I'm going to shut this off. For anybody who's watching this, we get into very deep conversations. So it's better to have that safety of not being recorded. But if you would like to purchase our book, Wounds to Wisdom, Healing Through Veteran and First Responder Narratives, it's on Amazon. And it's really a way to lift the voices up of those who protect us and to help those that are suffering in silence. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen tonight.